Make no mistake about it, Detroit Red Wings fans. These are trying times. These are worrying times. Because, after all this talk about the Red Wings and their March curse, they finally mustered up a win against the Calgary Flames 2 days ago. But here's the thing. The Red Wings are still in the second wildcard spot. They are tied with the Boston Bruins. However, via the tiebreaker, Boston is ahead in regulation wins, so they technically do have the leg up with the same amount of games played. Head over to the Atlantic Division stats, and you will see that Montreal, they ended up winning yesterday against Boston in overtime. Buffalo is a powerhouse all of a sudden, 9-1-0 in their last 10. Tampa Bay is still Tampa Bay. Darren Radish, Nikita Kucherov, and Vasilevsky have been cooking up a storm, pun intended. And the Detroit Red Wings have slipped. They are behind Pittsburgh and the Islanders. The Blue Jackets are not going away. Things are getting difficult for the Red Wings, and I wanted to talk about how Red Wings fans are responding to all of this, courtesy of the daily discussion thread from yesterday on the R Red Wings subreddit. Let's go out there and read just what some fans have to say about the current status of the NHL standings. And then let's get into some positive news as well, because there is some really good stuff that we can talk about. I just wanted to focus on the negative stuff for now. Top reply here says, can the Red Wings just go back out to the West? There's some BS happening over here. Buffalo is in first. Columbus destroying Carolina. Get the hell out of here. Yeah, I don't know if y'all noticed, but yesterday, the Blue Jackets absolutely pummeled the Carolina Hurricanes. 5-1 victory in Columbus. Their point streak is at 10. How amazing. This team is actually blowing it at the most crucial time. How is a rebuilding Boston team jumping ahead of Detroit in the standings? Boston was not a rebuilding team. They barely retooled. Some team like Boston and the Rangers like to add randomly, do bad one season, and then scoop up a high draft pick before going back to the playoffs to disappoint their fans again. I think this, though, is the best way we can analyze this upcoming stint. Huge games coming up against Montreal, Boston, and Ottawa. These are going to be the most important 4 games of the year. The division is so tight, the Wings want to write their own destiny, play hockey, 1 game at a time, even if you don't have Dylan Larkin. Even if you're going to be missing out on some of these guys, you just got to go out there and give it everything you got. Let's go out there and look at the upcoming schedule over here. Thursday, against the Montreal Canadiens. Saturday, against the Boston Bruins. Tuesday, next week, against Ottawa. And then Friday, against the Buffalo Sabres. Oh my goodness, this is going to be so tight. If you head over to tankathon.com, you take a look at the NHL and the strength of schedule over here. The Detroit Red Wings, they have the 7th most difficult schedule towards the end of the season here. They play some pretty good teams. They still have Minnesota and Tampa and Pittsburgh later on as well. And they only have 4 of the worst teams over here, although they do have the Philadelphia Flyers 3 times towards the end of the season. But the Detroit Red Wings, with 14 games left, have a chance to really seal their destiny. They need to win games. They need to find a way to push through. This March curse stuff can't be going on. We're halfway through March. They've barely survived. There still is an opportunity for the Detroit Red Wings to write their own destiny. And you also need other teams to go out there and lose, which hasn't really been happening as of late. Very odd. Anyways, let's go out there and talk about some really good Detroit Red Wings news, because we got some word out of the NCAA that Red Wings forward Max Plante has been named the NCHC Forward of the Year. Here is the write-up at the bottom of the graphic. Plante has spent almost the entire season as the nation's top scorer and is currently 5th in the nation with 48 total points. The Hermantown, Minnesota product's 23 goals rank 5th in the NCAA, and he also sits 3rd with 6 game-winning goals. This is the first time a Bulldog has won this award since it began in 2014. And if you take a look at that beautiful mug right there, he is indeed one of the top NCAA point producers. He's no longer the top guy. Ethan Wittenbach ended up taking a pretty staggering lead on that rank a few weeks ago into the season. It was an out-of-nowhere explosion for Wittenbach, getting all of these points consistently back to back to back to back to back, it seemed, towards the end of January. But Max Plante has been at the top or near the top for the entire season, so this guy obviously has some mojo to him in his game. 5'11", 176, so you could debate that maybe he could use some extra time physically maturing before he makes the jump to pro hockey. But hey, these first 2 years in the NCAA have been very good to him. 48 points in 37 games definitely is a noteworthy number. Now, there have been some Red Wings fans debating whether or not Max Plante going over to Grand Rapids for next season is the best move, or if it's probably better for him to stay in the NCAA. Let's go out there and read some of the replies on the Red Wings subreddit. Here we go, Bobby. He's going to go off next year, playing with both of his brothers for the first time. I hope we see him for a deep Griffins run after that. Is it confirmed that he's going back to UMD next year, or is it just speculation? It's just speculation, as far as I can see, after looking around a bit online. The general consensus is there's a strong possibility he returns for a 3rd year. Another reply says, with how good he is, playing in the NCAA another season seems redundant, and maybe bad for his development. He's physically maturing slower than a lot of his peers. Look at his draft interview. Physical play is the hardest thing for skilled players making the jump from college to the pros. It'll be good for him to spend 1 more year in the gym before playing with men. And I honestly would agree with that assessment here, especially since it is the NCAA. The NCAA is notorious for really putting their athletes to the gym, putting a lot of emphasis on off-ice development and being able to just get up to tone physically. These guys need that extra time in the weight room, balancing it out with their studies and everything in order to fully become the top athletes they can become. And Max Plante seems like one of these guys that can benefit the most from that. We had seen certain NCAA players over the past few years take a little bit of extra time, and then they ended up becoming pretty good. I'd say Trey Augustine is the biggest one for Detroit Red Wings fans in particular to look at and to kind of pay attention to in the collegiate ranks. So for Max Plante going out there and winning the NCHC Forward of the Year, obviously that's a really good mark, and I think heading into next season and beyond, he's got a pretty good chance at doing some more damage. We'll see what he's able to do in the NHL at some point, if he ends up making it in 2028 or 2029 or what have you. For now, though, let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Firstly, about the super tight wildcard race that Detroit finds themselves in, as well as the conversation on Max Plante and his NCHC Forward of the Year award. Thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video. And bye.